Dear Esther, the morning after I was washed ashore, salt in my ears, sand in my mouth, and the waves always at my ankles, I felt as though everything had conspired to this one last shipwreck. I remembered nothing but water, stones in my belly and my shoes, threatening to drag me under to where only the most listless of creatures swim.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that old. It still feels sort of fisheye to me. Oh, the flashlight was automatic. I increased it a tiny bit. At first I went way too high, but we can even just like default it. Lots of paint, which I guess you need for stuff like this if you're close to salt water. I mean, this is basically DayZ right here. Okay, sprint.
Donnelly reported the legend of the hermit, a holy man who sought solitude in its most pure form. Allegedly, he rode here from the mainland in a boat without a bottom, so all the creatures of the sea could rise at night to converse with him. How disappointed he must have been with their chatter. Perhaps now, when all that haunts the ocean is the rubbish dumped from the tankers, he'd find more peace. They say he threw his arms wide in a valley on the south side, and the cliff opened up to provide him shelter. They say he died of fever 116 years later. The shepherds left gifts for him at the mouth of the cave, but Donnelly records they never claimed to have seen him. I have visited the cave and I have left my gifts, but like them, I appear to be an unworthy subject of his solitude.
Yeah, I just cut mine the start of this week. I think it was Sunday, actually. It was real tall and thick, but so was like both neighbors. And we were the only ones that didn't have like a mushroom patch, so. But one of our trees has started dropping a lot of leaves already. So, I don't know, probably just go out there and mow again soon. Oh, okay, we're going down. Yeah, I guess just the FOV slider is really sensitive.
When you were born, your mother told me, a hush fell over the delivery room. A great red birthmark covered the left side of your face. No one knew what to say, so you cried to fill the vacuum. I always admired you for that. that you cried to fill whatever vacuum you found. I began to manufacture vacuums just to enable you to deploy your talent. The birthmark faded by the time you were 6 and had gone completely by the time we met, but your fascination with the empty and its cure remained.
Yeah, too bad. Like, there isn't even a whole lot of settings to crank, though. The music is fucking 35 plus.
Dear Esther, I found myself to be as featureless as this ocean, as shallow and unoccupied as this bay, a listless wreck without identification. My rocks are these bones, and a careful fence to keep the precipice at bay. Shot through me caves, my forehead a mount. This aerial will transmit into me so. All overexposed, the nervous system, where Donnelly's boots and yours and mine still trample. I will carry a torch for you. I will leave it at the foot of my headstone. You will need it for the tunnels that carry me under.
Yep. But all, like, this narration and this soundtrack and everything over DayZ, like a DayZ adventure. Oh, that's a stairway back here. Yeah, I'll probably just mow the leaves, I think. Set the mower real high. Although we're supposed to get 80s like later this week still. Or I guess early next week. $59.
59. Dude, wait, that's not the quote. Wait. That's...
Dude, you almost killed
Donnelly's
Gladys.
book had not been taken out from the library since 1974. I decided it would never be missed as I slipped it under my coat and avoided the librarian's gaze on the way out. If the subject matter is obscure, the writer's literary style is even more so. It is not the text of a stable or trustworthy reporter. Perhaps it is fitting that my only companion in these last days should be a stolen book written by a dying man.
So, I'm going to try not to talk over the narration during this. Thank you, Chaotic Squid, very much, man. What the fuck happened to Gladys? That her potato battery was running low. There's a cool mod for Portal 2 that I'm gonna stream real soon. It's like a prequel story. Dude, the timing on it was perfect though. I just didn't want you to think like...
When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boats, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this. To keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
I know. Oh, man. This is just so it, dude. But I don't mind that. I'm certainly not gonna get upset with stuff like that interrupting the dialogue in a way, man. Codex Squid, thank you very much, man. Oh man, there's some good ones in their monies and Fat Packs, Confed Yank, Philip Jury, Shoebird, Monkey Poo, Did, Void, 7-Eleven, nice, and Gistral. Hell yeah, dude. Can't see, I know. Damn it, I'm missing all the action. Look, it's Indie Games Month.
I quote directly, a motley lot with little to recommend them. I have now spent 3 days in their company. That is, I fear, enough for any man not born amongst them. Despite their tedious inclination to quote scripture, they seem to me the most godforsaken of all the inhabitants of the Outer Isles. Indeed, in this case, the very gravity of that term, forsaken by God, seems to find its very apex. It appears to me that Donnelly, too, found those who wander this shoreline to be adrift from any chance of redemption. Did he include himself in that, I wonder?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I just sniped a counter terrorist. Listen, this is really a stealth assassination game. Stupid rookies.
Dear Esther, I met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and lucid by his own dented bonnet. Responsibility had made him old. Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life. I threw my arms wide and the cliff opened out before me, making this rough home. I transferred my belongings from the bothy on the mount and tried to live here instead. It was cold at night and the sea lapped at the entrance at high tide. To climb the peak, I must first venture even deeper into the veins of the island, where the signals are blocked altogether. Only then will I understand them, when I stand on the summit and they flow into me, uncorrupted.
I need whatever he's on. No, you are not. So that's where, yeah. We looked through from there before. Is that just a loop? Boy, am I gonna wish this had sprint. At some point, though. Oh, man. Squid. So I got my parents finally to really watch Mr. Robot. And they just, like, finished it. And I fucking cried again. Fuck, man. The end is just so good. They both loved it too. It's like a little dark for them, you know, but yeah. It's so good in like so many ways.
The vegetation here has fossilized from the roots up. To think they once grazed animals here, the remnants of occupation being evidence to that. It is all sick to death. The water is too polluted for the fish. The sky is too thin for the birds, and the soil is cut with the bones of hermits and shepherds. I've heard it said that human ashes make great fertilizer, that we could sow a forest from all that is left of your hips and ribcage, with enough left over to thicken the air and repopulate the bay.
Yeah. And you know, the big reveal with Vera and Crystal. Right. I mean, it's also insanely out there. Man, so good. And then just so good looking and sounding too. Yeah, easy, I think. Loading. This game
Dear
is...
Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times. But although I have all the reports and all the witnesses and have cross-referenced them within a millimetre using my Ordnance Survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turnoff for Sanford and the welcome break services, but although I can always see it in my rearview mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore.
Somebody should take this island and make it a DayZ map. God, with no fucking trees. I definitely am feeling this, even though it's real strange. The music certainly helps.
It's only at night that this place makes any sluggish effort at life. You can see the buoy and the aerial. I've been taking to sleeping through the day in an attempt to resurrect myself. I can feel the last days drawing upon me. There's little point now in continuation. There must be something new to find here. Some nook or some cranny that offers a perspective worth clinging to. I've burnt my bridges. I've sunk my boats and watched them go to water.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like there's no puzzles. There's no fights. I think like you just keep walking for about an hour. It's not that long, although I managed to extend a lot of these games somehow. So these are like Western Scottish Isles. No, Rabbit. You can't even. Yeah, I don't think you can even jump or anything. Say we stay along the coast. Thank you guys all very much. I appreciate the love. Thank you just for being here. Letting me do weird shit. I don't know. It's been a lot of good games. The last two games from Tuesday night.
There must be a hole in the bottom of the boat. How else could new hermits have arrived?
Last two games were good. They just weren't like great or anything, but yeah. But I wanted to experience it. I know, big shocker, Rob, playing a walking sim.
I had kidney stones and you visited me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech both blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered opaque by the car of a drunk.
My buddy's at that Underworld show. He just texted me from it out in LA. What up, Shadow? Imagine that. Shadow comes into chat and has a complaint about what I'm doing. Otherwise, he just shooshes. Now my stones have grown into an island. Oh, man. Tinder, like, dating websites and stuff, too.
I've begun my ascent on the green slope of the western side. I've looked deep into the mountain from the shaft and understood that I must go up and then find the way under. I will stash the last vestiges of my civilization in the stone walls and work deeper from there. I'm drawn by the aerial and the cliff edge. There is some form of rebirth waiting for me there.
I would definitely love to be on this walk. Even if it were like kind of cold and rainy. You make some cool fucking wallpaper engine desktops in this game.
The bothy was constructed originally in the early 1700s. By then, shepherding had formalized into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jakobsen, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders. He came here every summer whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that it did not work. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it. There was no one to carve white lines into the cliff for him either.
Yeah. How do they? Listen, it's a MIDI piano, man. MIDI piano.
Inventory. A trestle table we spread wallpaper on in our first home. A folding chair. I laughed at you for bringing camping in the lakes. I was uncomfortable later and you laughed then. This diary, the bed with the broken springs. Once asleep you have to remember not to dream. A change of clothes. Donnelly's book, stolen from Edinburgh Library on the way here. I will burn them all on the last morning and make an aerial of my own.
I was not trailblazing. Yeah, cello. Even like cello would be a little rough. No way you could play it and carry it. Yeah, but they said, did he say these were the like Hebridean Islands? Which I thought was like northwest Scotland. think this is like a no-no. Oh, zone denied. I saw the fence up along that way, so I thought there was a trail there. This trail's a little sketchy.
What to make of Donnelly, the laudanum and the syphilis? It is clearly not how he began, but I've been unable to discover if the former was a result of his visiting the island or the force that drove him here. For the syphilis, a drunk driver smashing his insides into a pulp as he stumbled these paths, I can only offer my empathy. We're all victims of our age. My disease is the internal combustion engine and the cheap fermentation of yeast.
If he says so. And I think, like, next week I'm gonna...
They found Jakobsen in early spring. The thaw had only just come. Even though he'd been dead nearly 7 months, his body had been frozen right down to the nerves and had not even begun to decompose. All around him, small flowers were reaching for the weak sun. The goats had adjusted happily to life without a shepherd and were grazing freely about the valley. Donnelly reports they hurled the body in fear and disgust down the shaft, but I cannot corroborate this story.
Yeah, next week I'm gonna play the Expanse game. Just gonna snag it. And then, like, all of October, I'll just be mixing it up as well. Nice.
Climbing down to the caves, I slipped and fell and have injured my leg. I think the femur is broken. It is clearly infected. The skin has turned a bright, tight pink, and the pain is crashing in on waves, winter tides against my shoreline, drowning out the ache of my stones. I struggled back to the bothy to rest, but it has become clear that there is only one way this is likely to end. The medical supplies I looted from the trawler have suddenly found their purpose. They will keep me lucid for my final ascent.
The fuck was that, man? Oh. We gone.
From here, this last time, I have understood there is no turning back. The torch is failing along with my resolve. And hear the singing of the sea creatures from the passages above me, and they are promising the return of the gulls.
I guess we lost our... Well, I guess we don't need it, but I'd have my flashlight on anyway. Around, huh? Oh, Lord. I'm supposed to see
It was
this.
as if Someone had taken the car and shaken it like a cocktail. The glove compartment had been opened and emptied with the ashtrays and the boot. It made for a crumpled museum, a shattered exhibition.
Is there a VR mod for this? Because that could be kind of cool. I bet this would run well. Yeah, bok choy. Especially, like, imagine this in VR. Where you actually have that depth. Yes, interesting. As a child, my parents never allowed me to see an orchestra. They said it was too much sax and violins. Can we walk up the edge? We can. All right, it's on. Yeah, I bet this would be really cool in VR. It is a mod, that's what I was thinking. Did you notice, is it a Steam Workshop mod or like, I mean, I wouldn't care about having to put Cheat Engine on for this. Yeah, I think getting 60 FPS out of this in VR wouldn't be that hard. Yeah, I bet this would be slick as... I mean, maybe the candle was real big and so it's been here for 1,000 years. Like, I bet that having depth looking into that would be really cool. I feel like we're still crouched. The game just crouches automatically for you. It really is like, it's all W key and mouse.
I'm
well,
traversing my own
WASD, I
death
guess.
throes. The infection in my leg is an oil rig that dredges black muck up from deep inside my bones. I swallow fistfuls of diazepam and paracetamol to stay conscious. The pain flows through me like an underground sea. I'm gonna have to take a look. I still like. I definitely want to play some more VR stuff. But I'm streaming it, maybe, maybe not. I hate the mic quality. And then there's just other weird stuff, the aspect ratios and stuff like that. But
Something about that one looks weirdly like 2D. Yeah, they all kind of do from this side. Alright. Oh.
This cannot be the shaft they threw the goats into. It cannot be the landfill where the parts of your life that would not burn ended up. It cannot be the chimney that delivered you to the skies. It cannot be the place where you rained back down again to fertilize the soil and make small flowers in the rocks.
This would be kind of cool too. Oh, we have to. Another path that opens up behind us. Like we're slowly sinking. Yeah, how cool would this be too with down? It's like, come on, maybe we can make it run here. Oh. Quite a change up. Still a better game than Scorn. Into the light.
The Sanford Junction, headlights in your retinas. Donnelly drove a grey hatchback without a bottom, All the creatures of the tarmac rose to sing to him. All manner of symbols crudely scrawled across the cliff face of my unrest. My life reduced to an electrical diagram. All my gulls have taken flight. They will no longer roost on these outcrops. The lure of the moon over the Sanford Junction is too strong.
Dear Esther, I find each step harder and heavier. I drag Donnelly's corpse on my back across these rocks, and all I hear are his whispers of guilt, his reminders, his burnt letters, his neatly folded clothes. He tells me I was not drunk at all.
Guy's gonna land right in front of us. No idea. The G-Man.
There were chemical diagrams on the mug he gave me coffee in, sticky at the handle where his hands shook. He worked for a pharmaceutical company with an office based on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. He'd been travelling back from a sales conference in Exeter, forming a strategic vision for the peddling of antacid yogurt to the European market. You could trace the connections with your finger, join the dots, and whole new compounds would be summoned into activity. From here, I can see my armada. I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland, but had instead collected at the bottom of my rucksack, and I spread them out along the lost beach. Then I took each and every one, and I folded them into boats. I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting, I set the fleet to sail. Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic, and I sat here until I'd watched all of you sink.
I'm just gonna say no. Or I guess it'll. Wow. Oh man. Yeah, so I would do the above ground part of this hike. Not those caves. It's too slippery, man. Too treacherous.
A sound of torn metal, teeth running over the edge of the rocks, a moon that casts a signal. As I lay pinned beside you, the ticking of the cooling engine, and the calling from a great height, all my mind as a bypass.
Yep, that's what matters to me too. Like, I wonder what the internet's like there. I'd totally move there if I could get fiber.
I've begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fiber, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together.
This is where he was standing, so he's just gone. Damn, no middle mouse zoom in.
If only Donnelly had experienced this, he would have realized he was his own shoreline, as am I. Just as I am becoming this island, so he became his syphilis, retreating into the burning synapses, the stones, the infection.
The burn. I got some scary games for next month. Yeah. Not like super scary stuff, I guess, but is this not scary enough for you, Fatal? Have you played this? This is a game you could beat.
Bent back like a nail, like a hangnail, like a drowning man clung onto the wheel, drunk and spiraled, washed onto the lost shore under a moon as fractured as a shattered wing. We cleave, we are flight and suspended, these wretched painkillers, this form inconstant. I will take flight, I will take flight.
This is like a bunker. Danger, your ass might get zapped here. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people playing scary games. Yeah. I mean, shit scares me too. I like a good, like, thriller better than a bunch of jump scares, though. Yeah, so it's like a bunker, but I don't know if it's the islands I'm thinking of, I guess, but I feel like that's west, southwest. It's away from the mainland. Not people you watch. Yeah, I was gonna do the last part of the Michonne Walking Dead, the Telltales one. And I have a couple other things like in a little
these waters for the bones of the
list
hunt,
on Steam.
for the traces of Donnelly, for any sign of Jakobsen's flock, for the empty bottle that would incriminate him. I have scoured this stretch of motorway 21 times, attempting to recreate his trajectory, the point when his heart stopped dead and all he saw was the moon over the Sanford Junction. He was not drunk, Esther. He was not drunk at all, and it was not his fault. It was the converging lines that doomed him. This is not a recorded natural condition. The gulls do not fly so low over the motorway and cause him to swerve. The paint scored away from his car in lines like an infection, making directly for the heart.
Good luck. This would be sketchy. We have to change a bulb up there. There's a burnt out bulb. This guy's just dramatic.
I am the Ariel. In my passing, I will send news to each and every star. Dear Esther, I have burnt my belongings, my books, this death certificate. Mine will be written all across this island. Who was Jakobsen? Who remembers him? Donnelly has written of him, but who was Donnelly? Who remembers him? I have painted, carved, hewn, scored into this space all that I could draw from him. There will be another to these shores to remember me. I will rise from the ocean like an island without bottom, come together like a stone, become an Ariel, a beacon that they will not forget you. We've always been drawn here. One day the gulls will return and nest in our bones and our history. I will look to my left and see Esther Donnelly flying beside me. I will look to my right and see Paul Jakobsen flying beside me. They will leave white lines carved into the air to reach the mainland, where help will be sent. come back.